everyone, the following video is a recording from our Artist Feedback AMA session that was held within the MetaJungle Discord on June 23rd. This session was hosted by Mike Schmidt and Dan Hawk, and we went back to our roots by featuring multiple different photography collection genres. In this session, Mike and Dan gave us valuable information on curating and creating different NFT collections as well as NFT editions. We want to thank them for their time, as well as everyone who submitted their work for review and everyone that was able to attend. We hope you find this session useful, and with that, let's go on ahead and get into it.
So I guess to start off, I've got Vish's edition here. He's right at the top of the list here for today.
Cool. I noticed at the top that the banner shows a lot of images. So maybe this is like a look into what this little edition collection might look like.
Yeah. Well, we'll just kind of poke around here a little bit. So this is here's the edition that Vish had linked to. I kind of want to say, so first of all, we've got, it looks like we've had 6 sales here. There's 18 total.
And a lot of views. We've got a lot of views on it, 268 views. So
yeah,
good job.
Lots of views.
Yeah, good job on getting it out.
I want to kind of go look around a little bit and just poke around. OpenSea went and messed everything up again. Oh, there we go. Okay. This used to be a blue hot link, and they've changed that. Okay, so here's our artist's overall profile. So it looks like this is the only work that's minted, but man, there's a lot of good stuff here. And just so we can see it better, I'm going to do this, so we can kind of get a better view of some of those.
There you go. Yeah.
So Mike, what do you want to look at here?
Well, they only it looks like they only have one edition that's like that's minted, and I'm guessing if they don't have anything created on here, this could possibly be like their Genesis, unless they have something on a different platform. Let's look at their Instagram.
Yeah, if we can.
Let's get an idea of what their overall looks like.
Okay, so there we go. Oh, see, this is the thing.
Yeah,
I'm thrown off by this. They've moved everything around.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go take a look at Instagram. Oh, that link is dead.
Okay, so I might want to fix that link to the first piece of feedback.
Yeah. Okay.
Foundation.
So here's the foundation link. Let's go take a look. Oh yeah, so we saw that photo in the other side.
Wow, really cool shot.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, so it looks like this is just the one piece in this collection, and I'm just gonna go look and see. Yeah. So okay, so basically, Vish, you've got the one piece on foundation, you got the one piece on OpenSea that's an edition. What I'm seeing as I look through is there's a lot of really interesting photography happening in your banners up here.
Yeah.
Which would indicate to me that like you've got a pretty broad catalog of photography that you can choose from here.
Yeah, I like that blue guy.
Oh yeah.
There was a guy in like Smurf blue color. He had pulled up.
Where was it at on here? Oh, this one here.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The one and even this black and white shot on the left, the pie. I mean, yeah, it's kind of interesting style and color thematic. Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah. And it looks like Vish had mentioned that they've had 3 sales and a few airdrops have gone out at this point. So let's talk.
Maybe that Instagram. I'm sorry. Maybe that Instagram link works right there on the bottom left there.
This one, yeah, here.
Maybe.
Yes. Okay.
Cool.
Okay, here we go. So there's our edition piece, right? And here's our. Is that the same image? Similar image, but not exactly the same.
There's a black and white one. There's the one that's currently minted.
Yeah.
Interesting work.
But fairly new account too,
Oh wow, yeah.
or just trimmed.
Mm-hmm.
See how old this is. Oh, just February. Okay, so yeah, I mean, what I'm seeing here is we've got so if I were going to give some guidance, I think what I'm looking at here is you obviously have a good eye for documentary work in in these places where you're visiting, or where you live. My I like that you have that edition out and that you've had a few sales. I would probably go, and I just want to pull up your um, go back to Twitter and see. So you've got 1,300 followers. If I look at what you've been doing, like this is one of those things to kind of get a sense of. Here's this piece, your pinned tweet. Uh, hey, you retweeting us. That's great. Okay. Um, so here I'm seeing that you're putting out there other work that's not minted yet, and I kind of feel like one of the things that could be helpful for you at this point is that you're now a few weeks in to this edition, but I don't see you talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like and here's one. Okay, so this is somebody posting that they collected it from you. Got your foundation piece here. I think what I would probably think about doing, and without doing a super in-depth dive into your Twitter timeline, would be to spend some time talking about your edition. And I know you've already done that, but spend more time talking. And I don't think it hurts mention it on a daily or every other day basis while it's live and while it's still a going concern. Mike, I'd be curious what your thoughts are on that. But my last edition, I spent way more time promoting it than I ever had any other piece of art that I've made in the NFT space. And I kind of was just like almost giving a daily running commentary of, hey, okay, now there's 3 left. Okay, now there's 2 left. And that's felt a
Yeah.
little weird to me, but it worked. I'm
Yeah.
curious what you think.
Well, I was talking to Sonny recently. He's very good about giving advice on um, kind of how to act during different market sentiments. And with the market sentiment being kind of down right now, he was telling me that, a strong focus on actually the art and, a little less on business could go a long way. And so um, I've been, kind of posting, like I'll take an image from my collection that, maybe is on the floor, and it might be a shot that I don't think should be on the floor, because I think it might be one of the factors in my collection. And so I'll post that picture and I'll write a little bit about one I posted the other day was this daydreamer. It's the first successful shot I actually got um, on the ferry. And so I talked about that, what that shot meant to me, and I also added, that it was, it was featured with Sony, CNN, and Photo District News, and that it was for 0.1, and I thought that wow, this is one of my favorite shots in the collection. And so after I posted that, someone picked it up, and so um, yeah, I think it's a good idea to keep the focus like on and that's like a little bit of art and a little bit of business there, like in the same token, in a sense, like because I talked about it, why it was important to me, but then I also expressed that like I don't think it should be on the floor at this price. And so then I think someone resonated with that. They made the purchase on it. So um, yeah, I think keeping that edition that you currently have out now like relevant, like not spamming your whole feed with it, but because showcasing other people's is a really good thing to do, and it looks like this artist Vish does a lot of that. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think the collectors connect a lot to the the storytelling aspect of it, of the work, and what it took to kind of get that shot, what it means to you. I'd actually like to hear more about what this shot means to the artist and why they specifically chose this one. And look at that, they have 224 retweets. Wow, that's just amazing. Um, and this was put out June 4th, so that's a lot of engagement for considering this time in the market. I don't remember the last time I had 224 retweets. So um, that's why it has a lot of eyes on it. You saw it's like 260 something views. So really good. Now it says what? Oh, price 0.025. Yeah, that's correct. All that. Yeah. Immensely
Yeah.
grateful. All the. Yeah,
Well,
go
and
ahead.
something to think about here. I mean, just little tricks here, but sometimes if you go back and look, let's just take a look here. I'm gonna pull up this. This is just some little engagement stuff that's helpful. I mean, you're already okay. So I wanted to make sure you are replying. You got another one here though. Every time you reply and like these, you end up potentially driving more traffic and more engagement to this post. So I would
Mm,
probably do that. And then also, like, this is kind of a weird thing. Sometimes if you retweet your own post a few days in, it'll all of a sudden take off again. So
mhm.
that can't be, I mean, I don't know that I would overuse that, but that might be useful here to get some more eyes on it, or even quote retweet your own thing and say, hey, this is still available, but now there's only, at this point, maybe there's, you've sold a few more. Maybe you can mention that and say, hey, this has been sold. You can also do a post where you tag the people who, tag all the collectors who've bought one so far. Um, Little stuff like that. And here's kind of the success I'm looking for you is I'd love to see you sell this out and move on to the next thing. So,
That's
and
great
I think,
advice. Great advice about tagging the collectors that bought it or have it, and thanking them for it, and because that sets off some momentum too, right? Because then usually the collectors might retweet that, or they'll add comments within there, and then some people who respect those collectors see that they collected it, and so then they go and collect it, and so it's that's a great point.
yeah. And so I think a lot of times we look at work and we go, oh yeah, there's other work. In this case, you do have other work, but work on getting this one sold out. Talk about it a little bit more. I think that's your goal. And then as that once that happens, then you can figure out what comes next. And I'll just tell you flat out, I sold out my last new piece weeks ago, and I haven't done anything new since. And it's mainly because I'm just still thinking about it, trying to figure out what comes next. So get this one sold out, and then you
Cool.
can figure out what comes next.
Yeah,
You ready
or
to move on to the
focus
next
on
one?
yeah, or focus on the secondary for the one that sold out. Like yours sold out, right? So yeah, what have you been doing, Dan, for keeping eyes on that, even though it's sold out?
I think mine is I had there's one listed on secondary. I haven't really done a ton with it, and the main reason why is because there's some rewards for the holders. There's a community built around the holders, so I don't really want to promote the secondary on it. But that's
Oh,
just me. That's how I'm doing it.
yeah, makes sense. Okay, yeah, and they probably don't put it on secondary. It's funny.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. One of them got listed, and I mentioned it, but it didn't get any traction, so it's
yeah.
okay.
Cool. Let's open it though and see. Let's open it on what is it on OpenSea? And take a look
Okay.
at let's take a look at like properties and the description and stuff like that before we move on. I'd say and see. Cool. So they have really good properties. I did look at that before, so I think they did a good job on that. They got the additions,
Shoot,
the licensing, dimensions, the
shooting with the
camera.
shooting with the GR2. It's kind of a fun camera.
Is that the new Ryko? Is that how you say it?
No,
Rico?
I think it's not the new one. I think it's the it's been around for a little while.
I never shot them, but they seem really really cool. And so look at that, 0.025 is $28. You can get one.
That's
Get
awesome.
one. Yeah, so get one for
It's funny to have it be so it's frustrating that ETH is so low, but it's also awesome that you can snag some of these at such a low price.
yeah. Vish said in the chat it's the 2015 model. Nice.
There you go. Yeah.
Well,
I have handled one, but I've never shot with it. But I have a buddy that had one. I don't know if he still does.
Yeah, it's a beautiful shot, and it looks like. Did you use on-camera flash, Vish, for that? Something I'm trying to get better at. Looks like there must have been some on-camera flash.
Off camera. Oh,
Well,
okay.
yeah. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So,
Interesting.
mhm, awesome. So handheld, like the flash is held in your hand and you direct it. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's a pro tip right there. Thanks, Fish.
I think this is just put together. It's a great shot. I like the way this is put together. Um, and it is, we're selling. We had sold a few right at the beginning, or airdropped some, sold some every few days. Yeah, keep talking about this art. It's great. And then um, even before you sell out this one, it might not hurt to start teasing out. Don't say you're selling it or this is the next one, but maybe start putting some new art out there. Let's use the momentum once you sell this one out.
Does
Cool.
well, since Vish is here and typing in the chat, wondering if any specific questions based off of our feedback or any questions that you might have that we can help with. They said, should I update my pinned now? As there's a lot of views. Um, no, I wouldn't update my pinned. I would keep that pinned because it looks good to have all of those retweets and those reviews from people and collectors. I wouldn't update it, but I would just make new posts. Maybe a new post. Um, so you have a description about this shot in here that you wrote. So maybe summarize that and write about this photo and why it's important to you, and what God's own light means, and the title, and you know, always leave a link to the collection within within your description and tweets. I think that's a really good idea. Um, but yeah, I think that's a good way to get some eyes on it. But like Dan said, is a really good way is to actually tag and thank the collectors that are actually own the piece, to get some retweets out about it, and the people that are taking place in the chat right now to help out and you know retweet Fish's work so we can have more eyes on it. So another question. So should I update my? Oh, no, I read that one. So have I selected the right picture? Because it's moving terribly slow and I can't figure out why. So if we ran, I mean, I'm I don't know how to, I don't I'm not actually sure how to answer that. I think
Terribly
that
slow is very subjective. Right. Terribly slow is very subjective. Right. I mean, I think that it's good to step back and consider that while it might feel really slow, I'm also looking at your work and I think, okay, you've got this photo and you've got one on foundation. You don't the, you might have a following and you might have a connection with a lot of people, but you don't have the sales history for it to move quickly. What happens is when you start to sell and people go to look at your work, they're also looking at what else is available, and they're considering, are you around for the long haul? Is it a good investment? Um, so sometimes people might really love the work, but they might be waiting to buy because because you don't have a lot of sales history, because you're not really established. So you just have to remember that when you first getting started, it's probably going to be a little slow. And some people sell out right away. I think that's more of an exception than the norm. And for us to compare ourselves and to think that it's supposed to sell out right away is kind of foolish. Like when Mike sells his stuff out before it even drops for public, like remember that there's a deep set of connections and history that collectors are looking at there. And so I think it's really worth putting the work in at this point. I don't know that terribly slow is actually accurate here. It's literally your first OpenSea piece. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
and
outside of what you just said about how they're those collectors are looking at a history of mine. I mean, at the same time, I'm also in in-depth conversations with the collectors before like any of this even really happens. Also promoted, you know, I also, you know, was putting out teasers for my collection for probably 3 or 4 months before I even had went into that collection. So it was in a lot of people's eyes and in a lot of people's head that, you know, that was the work that, you know, I was creating. So that's something to think
Yeah.
about too. Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with this work. I don't think that's the issue. I think
Yeah.
um, I think it has way more to do with just knowing that, hey, you're new here. And even though you've got a lot of connections and you're retweeting people and you're having conversations, there is still that missing piece. And until you build it up, it's not going to move quickly.
I see vision now. Understood. Thank you. Is there anything I could have done differently? I don't I don't really think so. I mean, because you have all the properties, you have all the information within the description. Your banner looks pretty nice. Um,
Yep.
it chose
Yeah,
0.025 at 18 editions. Go ahead, Dan. Get Dan.
I would say the piece and the listing and everything looks good. Um, and this is one of those where really there's tons of great work out there. You didn't mess up on the work. And I don't think you made a mistake necessarily, even on your promotion. You just need to do more of it.
Okay, so I mean, I guess I have an answer for anything you could have done differently. Um, I don't know what you did before the drop, but something that I do is, you know, I message a lot of people that I'm close with, whether they be collectors or friends and stuff. I get people's eyes on the work, and I ask them how they feel about a specific image, and maybe I give them, you know, I give them 3 or 4 images and say, you know, like, what do you think's the strongest here? And then after I've had like 5 or 10 eyes on that, I kind of have a consensus of what I think is the strongest. Um, and so, and also, um, I had something else. I had something else important to do. Um, no, maybe I'll after this brain fart, I'll come back to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, just what you it's kind of like what you do before everything else, like who you've reached out to. Oh, the other idea would be like you know, like a release party, like have a friend that's a good host. Like Subodh did this for me because I know Subodh's a very good host. So and mine wasn't a release party, but it was like a sellout party. So like when mine sold out, you know, Subodh created a chat. We went on for 4.5 hours, and you know, I took answers from a lot of people on, you know, um, how additions are beneficial within the space, and how, you know, I was able to get the collectors, and how I was able to be successful within the collection. But you know, you take that knowledge and you could do something differently. Like you can do like a drop party, like you're just dropping on this day, and you have a friend that's a host, and you could talk about the work during that drop party, and then the people in the drop party probably be some of your first investors. So that would be my best advice.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Um, it comes down to what's the stuff you're doing to get eyes on things, and then also to just build up anticipation. So
Yeah, I think.
anyway, okay, we are a good 30 minutes in, so we probably should move on to the next one.
Yeah, I think gave a lot of that.
All right, so our next one is I think this is. Have you ever looked at a collection on Rarible in our AMAs?
Have not.
Okay,
Um,
it's a first for me. When it popped up, I was like, "Oh, Rarible! Yes, cool." I had some things on Rarible. I don't anymore, but definitely definitely some interesting work here. The artist Tulsi Shankar. Am I gonna get that right? I'm gonna look at the. I was trying to look at the artist name in our spreadsheet. Yeah, Tulsi Shankar Kumbar is the artist's name.
it's just, I think you did a good
And
job with that one. Did a
yeah,
good job on that
well,
name.
I know Tulsi has been here in the chat and has not been able to hear what's going on. So I will say this, Tulsi, it's being recorded. So even though if we can't get you in here,
They're
we
typing
will.
in here. Go type in the
Yeah,
chat.
yeah.
Oh, they
But
might
I
not be able
think
to hear.
yeah, I think you can't air anything. So anyway, let's dig in here a little bit. So the the stuff that was submitted here um, is beautiful peoples of the world,
Mm,
and it's on Rarible. It was submitted as part of the storytelling um, genre, and like I think this is really interesting work, and I'd love to kind of just dig in a little bit and take a look at these. That they are. It's a small collection, so we've only got 5 pieces here. They're priced at 0.11. Um,
mm-hmm.
and I'm going to go ahead and just pull up, just so we can kind of take
Sure.
a look at it. We'll pull up some other work.
Yep. Those up close portraits are the ones that stand out to me the most. That was first
Look at
two very
this.
powerful. Yeah. Oh wow. Did you product stuff too? Lots of portrait work. That's
Yeah,
beautiful. Go up a little bit. The one in the green. Uh,
this one.
up. No, no, the one above that. No, the one above it.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, it's better.
that, that's that's the one. Yeah, that's really really well done. The gold and green, her expression, her hands, that depth of field, the buildings that are behind her, beautiful over there. Mm,
Yeah, I like that.
yeah.
Uh, I guess so. A couple things right off the bat that I'm just going to say. I want to go back here. Okay, so this is a very different, and I understand why. I understand the thought process here behind this particular work versus this work. Like I get it. This is not typical NFT
Well,
stuff.
yeah, that's more like this is more commercial and a little yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's this
It,
is this is
mhm,
retail and fashion and some commercial.
yeah.
Um,
Less storytelling, I would say. I mean,
right,
the
right.
yeah. Well, when you put it cohesively, it's less storytelling. Not that these photos can't tell a story within themselves, but
Yeah. Um, so let's talk about this work though. Start looking at these. So the collection itself. Life is I'll just read this. So, life is a story. Sadness, happiness, pain, and problems are written on every page of life. I want to share about these beautiful peoples of the world in my collection for whom we get grains. We do not die of hunger despite being very beautiful. Good facilities are not being provided to their house after facing sorrows and troubles in life, yet living happily. That's why I want to donate 30% of my every earnings from NFT to help the poor. I'm Tulsi Shankar Kumbar, a fashion and street photographer, or portrait photographer based in Raipur, India. I'm doing portrait photography from 2013 to the present, and I am maintaining it for long term. I will work more and capture more portraits and share their story, telling on this project beautiful people of the world. Let's just take a look at these.
I love how descriptive they are. Beautiful
Yeah,
portrait when it comes to the story. Like this child, like obviously is not living in the best conditions, but there is this sort of like confidence within this child and this kind of glimmer of like strength, you know, that I feel maybe hope and strength. I enjoy that portrait, and there's so much written about it. Maybe we don't want to read all of it, but it's well written. Yeah, the descriptions are very well written.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree. Um, I agree. I like that. I think I think you really do a great job with.
These close-ups.
Man, look at these.
Yeah.
Look at this catch light from the window behind.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, you could see it's a window that has the four windows, with the no no
Is
no
that
it's not. Is that a
view of the
person?
photographer? Looks like the photographer standing in the middle, like right in front of the
Oh,
window.
wow. I thought it was a separation of like a window that has wood that has that kind of cross.
Yeah,
Oh, it separates them. That's beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really great. I like that a lot.
Mhm.
I like this one, but I would probably crop in. I think there's just all of this blurry space in the front. You don't need quite that much.
Yeah, the foreground just yeah, the foreground hurts this image for me. Um I find some of the ones where like I think if you took this portrait how you took those first two, I think it would be really strong. Even that white piece kind of, takes my eye, the white
Yeah,
piece next to him. So,
right.
yep, I don't find this one to be as strong as the others. Although I like his expression a lot.
Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah. See,
interesting.
this is interesting too. It's a great photograph. It just doesn't feel like it belongs in the same series as those portraits. It feels like a little. This feels a little more documentary.
Right.
Um, yeah, environmental. Mhm.
Okay, so and if I'm just going to be a little bit nitpicky, I want to see more at the bottom of this one. I'd, I feel like the framing is, I feel like it almost feels like it's cropped, and I know
Yeah.
that that's not what happened here, but I want to see more of this environment at the bottom here and less up here.
Hmm. I'll stick to what I was saying about the head-ons. I like the head-on portraits a lot.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
Yeah, like
Um, so
this.
okay, so let's talk a little bit about. I'm gonna pull up. We're looking at there. Let's look at Twitter. Okay, so Tulsi's Twitter account here. Um, he's got the promotion of that one. Just want to see what else is. I should probably switch to tweets and replies.
Showcasing other people's work.
Yeah, which is great. Which is great. Um, I guess kind of my thought is I think this is a good this is some good work. Here's what I would like to see. I'd like to see more like these, more of these portraits. And like this one is great. You shot it with a fairly high res camera. Maybe crop in, maybe clean this up a little bit. Um, and if you've got more like this, I think that might be helpful. In fact, there's one in your Instagram account. Look at this one. How is that not in this
Hmm.
collection? You know,
Yeah. Hmm.
I think that
I
should
mean,
be in there.
I don't with that one the light and contrast doesn't really match the other ones. So maybe like a little bit of editing on the black and white
Yep.
to
Yep. I
to
agree.
kind of have a little bit more of that punchiness that the other two have.
Yep.
But I think it can fit. Let's see what else is. That's a really cool photo. Wow, like
Yeah.
not as part of the same collection, but what a wonderful composition and his expression and the hands and the pink.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm guessing there's some other portraits like those, just from what I'm seeing here.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you have more.
Hmm. I think the artist has gotten better over time, though, as we go down on the.
These are pushed a little bit heavy on the HDR side.
I agree.
Yeah.
Just a little bit strong on the
Look at this
editing.
guy. Look at this guy.
So here we are. So that should be in the collection, I think, too. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So
And this
this
is
has
older
space.
work, right?
Yeah.
But I think leaning back on some of these, maybe oh, look at there's a bunch of these.
Okay. Yeah. So imagine a full collection with all of these up close black and white portraits. It would look. I like that guy on the right too.
This one here.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I just. Yeah. I think a lot of these black and white up close portraits could be really strong. And the thing is this too. In NFTs, you have to think about like what feels collectible too. Like if you think back to collectibles that are outside of NFTs, like trading cards and stuff, like you think Pokemon, you think baseball cards and stuff. They all have this like cohesive aspect to them, and then people could be like, "Oh, which portrait did you get? Which portrait what did you get?" But when you have in your collection right now is like kind of a mix of those up close portraits that do feel like these collectible kind of trading cards almost, like not trading cards. I don't want to call it that, but collectible pieces of portrait photography that have a more collectible aspect feel. And when you add those other photographs that you have in there that seem a bit more environmental, where you kind of stray from that composition that's very powerful, it starts to make the collection as a whole feel less collectible.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I totally agree. I think that there's some great. This is the part that's really interesting. When I look at this, Tulsi, when I look at your work, what I'm seeing, so like I'm a portrait photographer by trade. This is what I do. So when I look at this stuff up at the top, I'm like, okay, I get this. I get what you're doing here. I get what you're trained in. I get how you're building this. I see your lighting. I see all that. And I'm just going to say that I think all of that, what we're trying to tell you is that these are good and you should go for this aesthetic right here. You should look for that stuff, and I can see it in your work. I see it in your Instagram account. I would build that into the collection. I'm just going to throw one more thing out here too. I would consider, I know you've put a lot of work into this.
OpenSea.
I would consider moving it to OpenSea. Yeah, Rarible is, I hate to beat on, to crap on them, but I moved my stuff off Rarible because nobody ever sees anything there.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing as you. I was gonna say, and also I don't know about Red because I don't hear about it, and I this is one of the first times I've kind of really looked at Red.
Yeah,
Maybe it has its own market. Yeah,
I did an
go ahead.
edition on Rarible, and it just never went anywhere. Nobody ever saw it, and I had at least a couple collectors be like, like they kind of had pause, and so I would just, which is dumb because Rarible's just selling stuff off the blockchain the same as it's. Heck, I still get emails from Rarible every single time I make a sale or anything like that because they track everything that happens on the blockchain, but I can't get collectors to look at work there. So
Yeah, I like OpenSea and I like Sloika right now. So those are the ones.
and Tulsi had asked if he can write something about his collection. I think you can. I think if you have specific questions, for sure. Um, I also don't want to wait too long, so spit it out. Let's let's hear the questions. In the meantime, Mike, do you have any other thoughts?
No, I just I would just really want to see this as a cohesive collection of high contrast black and white portraits that have soul, like the first two, and
Yeah,
like many of the ones that he has in Instagram. And I don't think I have any other feedback outside of that
yeah,
for this
yeah.
for this collection.
Well, why don't we go ahead and move on then?
Yeah, and if he has a question, then we'll answer it.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. So the next one is Green Mountain State, Jeff Sharon. Hopefully, I'm saying
Hmm.
that right. Um, so Jeff has this collection. I've actually seen this work on Twitter already. Connected with Jeff there, so that he has some really great work.
Look at the
Just
prices. These are one of ones. They have the edition pricing. Beautiful work.
yeah, yeah. So uh, let's take a look here. So the description, Green Mountain State by Jeff Churon is a collection of one-of-one images from Vermont, USA. Those who experience this place grow to appreciate its peace, positive energy, and most of all, its unique beauty. There's a little bit of something for everyone, from lakeside sunsets to covered bridges to 100-year-old barns with a view. This is an ongoing collection. New pieces will be added at or above the current floor price in 4 installments throughout 2022, coinciding with the seasons. Collectors of Green Mountain State will get first access to new releases into the collection before they go on sale to the public. Okay, so let's dive in here. First of all, there's some really beautiful work here, and you've got the stuff at 0.05, stuff at 0.08, um, and we've got, looks like 4 of them have sold already. So looks like we're 2 seasons in already, would be my guess.
Yeah.
Got some,
I like that forest floor for 0.08 on the right.
oh yeah, with
Yeah.
the ferns, or
Yeah, that might be my favorite. Love this
that is pretty
mood.
nice. Pretty nice.
Really enchanting, and I like how it's kind of dark. It feels like yeah, it's beautiful. And then like a very dark scene, but then the greens are so vibrant in the front, and also
Oh,
you
look at
could
that, how it
you could
holds
see
up.
you could see the droplets. Like someone should pick up this 1 of 1 for 0.08. So nice.
Yeah, this is really beautiful.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the strategy here. So, open edition, or not open, but open for the year at least, and it looks like I want to look at a couple of these because I'm curious. So the ones that have sold, let's look at Fracture. Fracture is obviously winter. Um,
Hmm.
so he's got
Boss mom likes stick and season. That's her favorite one. I think it reminds me of my husband's favorite childhood place. Mhm. That's that one. Yep, stick and season. Yeah, really interesting place.
Okay, so I've got an idea here for you, Jeff. I think that because you have different seasons, you need to be adding. I know you've already sold four of them. I think you should add properties, and you should add the season, and that way that it's easier for people to kind of look at that stuff. And I know it's too
Yeah.
late for the rest of them, but add them for the ones that still exist. I mean, obviously you got
Hmm.
some spring here, you got some spring here. Um, so I would do that. The other thing is that we haven't we've been a little bit off of our our normal routine here in the MetaJungle community, but what I am seeing is we don't have our descriptions are missing information about licensing. You have them on a couple, but you don't have them on some of them, and you don't have any properties. So I would add the properties, and I would probably if you let's see if is it just the old ones that are missing that stuff?
It might be.
That might be the issue here.
I mean, because we started doing a lot of educating in more recently,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
it looks like the
Looks.
collection's 3 months old.
Okay, so this one has licensing.
Did it sell?
Yeah. 6 days
Okay.
ago, it just sold.
Oh wow, nice.
So
It's
this
good
is
to
good
see.
work, Jeff. So, so there's something I'll throw out there for you is that um, I did a collection that was based on my own home state, and I will tell you that I have done so much tweaking to that collection, and it took a long time to take off, and then it ended up selling not because it was based on Oregon, but based on the fact that people liked some of them were Milky Way night photos. So I will say that I've gotten a lot of feedback from people that would say that um, it's less about the location and that particular story, and more about telling an interesting story through the images. I like the seasonality. I like that there's small drops. I think that makes a lot of sense. Um, oh yeah, and Jeff chimed in and said sold a few before adding license info. So um, I would lean into focusing on just the seasonality of it, and maybe add them as properties. I think that might help you to kind of when people come visit and to look at them and go, oh yeah, this is cool. I want to buy the new season now that especially because you've got some traction already.
Yeah, I agree. Also, the collection's been out for like what, 3 months, and so you had four owners, and so wondering, I know the 1 of 1 market slowed down a bit, but your pricing is close to edition pricing, so I can't say that these haven't sold within 3 months because the 1 of 1 market has slowed down, but it must be because maybe it's just not. Look, we got 15 views.
Sure.
Whereas someone, Vish, we were looking at that images had 268, and it was created much sooner. So there's definitely something that more that Vish has done to get those eyes. Whereas this one, if only 8 people saw this, the less people that see it, the less chance that there's going to be a buy, right? I mean, I think this should be sold. This one, it's really, really, really beautiful, as
Yep.
well as many of these, and so. Um, we tell this to a lot of people, and it's like, pick something in here that you think personally that's a shot that means a lot to you, that you probably think should be sold by now, and talk about that photograph, and showcase your own work, to showcase your own work sometimes too, and then put the price there and say, hey, this is a one of one um, image that I have, and it's going to 0.08 right now. I'm gonna I tried to keep my one of one pricing, at a affordable place. Like, it's very close to edition pricing. So I think that can
Yeah.
get some ideas. I mean, I'm sorry, some interest and some eyes on it, and the MetaJungle community will help by retweeting the stuff, and it only takes a few of us retweeting it to get eyes on it, and to get some sales. So would love for people that are in the chat today, to to retweet some of the work from today that you guys like, and because the retweet helps a lot, and it doesn't take much time.
Yeah. Well, and I think if you were to do more, Jeff, I've seen this work already. I know you're sharing it, but I agree. This is something we've talked about a bit before. This is great promoting the collection. I would keep doing this, keep doing it regularly. Um, but you've got also new pieces that you can focus on. I would tell the individual stories, and I don't know, you maybe you're already doing that, and I didn't see it, but I would go through and I would share the individual pieces and tell the story behind them. I think that's I'd love to hear about this one right here, right? Um,
Mm.
and
Yeah,
so I
me
think
too.
that's the kind of thing that will help sell this collection is telling the individual stories of the pieces.
Yeah, it reminds me of a Tristan Todd shot a little bit too,
Yep. Yeah, it
and
definitely has that.
I was paying. I paid 0.25 for those too, and this is right. This is a beautiful image, just right there with some of this. So for 0.08, it's
And I
very
would I
nice.
would think about Jeff, when you share this one, like this is one it could be fun to tell a story of, and what I would probably do if I were you is I would share the full photo, and then I would also share a zoomed in of some of this detail side by side with it.
Yeah, it's great.
Like look at that, like that's cool. I would probably share the big picture, and then I would also share like a detailed crop in like this,
Hmm.
because that way you can see it, because they're not going to see it on Twitter. Um, anyway, I know Jeff, you're here commenting. Do you have any other questions? I know it's putting people on the spot, but
Hey, they put their work on the spot.
it's true. It's true. But I like it. It's good work. Oh,
How do you?
open-ended versus yeah, the open-ended collection versus a fixed number of pieces. I think that I've kind of experimented with this myself. I haven't had the open-ended thing work for me, but also like I'll just say I think you're having more success selling these. And maybe it's because of the price point. Maybe the price point's making it easier to move them. But I don't know that it's bad because you've kind of you I think that you've set it up in a way that makes sense. You've set it up that it's like it's for this year, it's per the seasons. It's not just completely open-ended. And I think that that works, especially because it's such a small group each time.
When he says open-ended, does it mean like he'll willing to add more images to this collection later? Is that what that means?
Well, I think he's implying that because the drops happen, like let's just go back here to the description. He just says it's an ongoing collection. New pieces will be added at or above the current floor price in 4 installments throughout 2022, coinciding with the seasons. So it's not open per se, um, but that I don't know. I mean, if you're planning to have it just be open forever, I think that's not a good idea. If you're just talking about for this year and you're just adding the seasons as it comes out, I think that there's a lot of precedence that that works. A good example is if you guys know David Johnston. David's been doing a series that drops that's elements of Earth, and he's been dropping like 4 images every 3 months or so, every couple months, and that's worked really well for him. And they all drop into the same collection. So I think as long as you tell people what you're doing, you're fine. What do you think about
I
that?
agree.
Okay.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Cool. So he says 100% makes sense. So let's that's good. It's good work, Jeff. Keep up the good work. Should we move on to the next one?
Yeah, I think we covered that. Sure. Love the work.
Okay. This is a view of Lisbon, and I'm just gonna pull up. I always want to look at the way the
You want me to
Ricardo
read the
Barro
description?
Figuera. Sure, sure.
Okay. I figure we could take time.
Probably should open it, right?
Okay. It's all about telling stories and freezing great moments. The purpose of this photography project, A View of Lisbon, is to present the city through photographs, keeping the spirit spontaneous and free of constraints. The collection comprises street images, some of which are most recognizable in photography. Works appear in exhibitions in Belgrade, Serbia, Netherlands, New York, and Paris, France. Um, you can know all about the project and me. Please check, and then artist gives the website. So okay, cool. NFT. Did you have Do you have an initial like reaction to this collection? Because I know that I definitely did when I saw it.
Yeah, this is a little okay. So I'll just say it. I have some experience doing street photography, but nowhere near as much as you do. I feel like there's a few standouts in here that I really like. Um,
Look at that, look at that fourth one.
this one here.
Yeah, I love that one. Subway Rhythm. So I'll just say that there's some in here. Can you click on it? Yeah. There's some shots in here that are like really like so for me this shot, even though it's got a lot going on, it still feels like minimal. It still feels kind of abstract. I like that. So I feel like in this collection, it's two collections. There's more minimal shots, and then there's a more busy shot. So that loneliness one is feels a bit more minimal, and so does, yeah, this one feels like a little bit more minimal as well. And if you go back, the one you had on there, that one, geometry minimal. Scroll down. Um, you have that into the unknown exactly, and then the last one, not the, la- the la- well, no, the last one on there by,
Oh,
yeah, that one. The girl with the bag. If you click that, like these ones tie in together for me, and they have this sort of less is more kind of a feel. But let's see, same thing. The one before the last, for that tree. Click that one. This has that same feel for me too, where there's like this less is more, and there's geometry and stuff, and then you have a bunch of other photos that tend to be a lot uh, more busy, but some of them I still really like. But like, let's see, for instance, that one I party summer beach girls food. It doesn't fit for me in the ones that we just looked at. The mood just doesn't feel the same, and
right.
it's more busy, and it's like more, you know, and there's a few like that, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I will step back and say I have some thoughts about street photography. I think that there's kind of three different styles that I've noticed. There is the I captured something clever or interesting happening. So that's one kind of street photo, right? Then there's the stuff that's more like this, where it's more it's more like abstract, and it's way more about tonalities and shapes.
Mhm.
Um, and then there's kind of the storytelling side, you know. So sometimes they're just like interesting and clever. That is the one that's kind of not interesting. The ones that are the clever ones, like you and I have reviewed a bunch that are weird juxtapositions of people and signs, like just weird stuff that people capture and like, oh, that's kind of
Yeah,
funny because that person's standing in front of that sign and they have something on their shirt. That's a certain
yeah.
kind. This collection doesn't have that sort of
Mhm.
vibe. It has more day in the life, and then it has these abstract minimalist shape vibes.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of like two collections.
Yeah.
I think that this could be like, could be culled down into one or the other, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I love
I think
that
the
last
strength,
shot too.
this one here.
Like, yeah, like I think that's a beautiful shot too. It's just it feels out of place with everything else. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like a street shot, you know? So it's just
Yeah.
a curation thing to me. Like the photographer knows how to make. I love that one too. You know, it just fits with the ones that are, you know, less about minimalism and geometry and those sort of. This one's has it's like that's more of the storytelling one. You know.
And then this one, this is cool. Make it black and white though. Make it fit.
Yeah, agree.
And I know, I will say, we're in foundation at this point, right? I'm asking you to do a lot to change anything here. I get that. Um,
Well, I mean, you can do it when gas is 12 gwei like it was last night.
yeah.
It doesn't cost much at all yet.
Here's if I'm gonna get a little bit kind of nitpicky about this and try to give good feedback. What I'm seeing, Ricardo, when I look at your work here, is a couple things. I see there's a real strength in the more minimalist and more the images that are more about tonality and dark contrast and shape. So this one, this one, this one, this one potentially, although I would maybe think about trying to something is not it's missing something. I think it's maybe the distortion bothers me, I think, a little bit. um, and I think it'd be stronger if you just pulled that if you could pull that distortion out a little bit. I think this one works, this one, and maybe this one. Those all
Like
work as
that
a
one.
collection.
Click that beloved in the lap. Oh, that's a nice shot. Yeah, I didn't open that one before.
it's the
Yeah.
it's the dark shape here that works.
But this still fits in that minimalism category, you know?
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
So I say all that because I find these ones, of these day in the life ones, not as interesting. uh,
Me-
like these two. Um,
Yeah.
I
The
like
fir-
this
fir-
one, but I don't know that it fits with the others. Um,
the first shot in the
but
series is just way too busy for me. Click that one.
yeah,
It's just that, you know, when you take a photo like this, y- you know, you want to, you probably want to take the photo in a way that, you know, the background isn't melded into the actual subject. So this subject here is just getting lost in all of the characters in the background, and it's just about moving around a little bit, you
there's
know?
too much depth of field on that one. If you
Yeah,
if you were closer and the background
and
was a little more blurred. Also,
yeah,
I'm just gonna say it. With all this stuff going on, I think this might be better in color.
it could, yeah.
Yeah, but and then but overall, I think you've got some great work here, and this is really a curation exercise. It's really about figuring out, is there a way for you to curate this in a way that this is the sum being greater, the sum being greater than the individual pieces. I think that you could have a stronger collection here if you were more focused. That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I mean, how many images in this collection?
16.
16. I
Yeah, and
mean, you can pick the best 6 to 8 images that fit the story, and
yeah.
may have better luck doing that, and then save the other images in in a different folder for
Hmm.
another time. I mean, your main image on It's one of the minimal ones.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. Kind of curious.
So
Just
he's
because we've been
speaking in the chat. Says, I've spent a lot of money on foundation. I can't change. Only dropping and upload again. I have a lot of work, but not selling. Can't upload more. Yeah, not saying to upload more. Just doing the list and burn, but you'd really have to pick a good time to do that. I notice between like 1 and 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, uh, the gas could be very cheap, and we're talking here about like $2 to unmint, and then $2 or $3 to burn. So $5 per image if you get the right gas. I've done it. So if you could afford that, then it's. But yeah, we're looking on Instagram now. I'm all stuffed up. God, it's giving me allergies here.
Yeah, so we're going pretty far back in his Instagram feed, but yeah, there's some good stuff in here.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this one.
Yeah, it's another one that would work.
And then look at this one.
Love that one. Yeah. But if it's not in Lisbon, then it doesn't fit in streets of Lisbon. Right? But if it
Right.
is, where is it? If it is, where is it? Because that's a great
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah. When he gave us the link for it.
Oh, it's 11:11. Make a wish. It's 11:11 in where you're from.
Yep, 1111.
Yep.
Here's the website for the work.
So what can we gather from it? Like, where's the next image? Maybe you have to click that View of Lisbon. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess if I'm gonna just pull them back a little bit, I think we've got some really good work here, and as much as I hate to kind of be picky about it, I'll just say Foundation is one of those ones where this is one of the reasons I've been super careful about what I put on what I put on Foundation is because it is a hassle when you if you try to sell them. Also, there's a whole bunch here that are not. So let's click on this. Hmm. So I'm thinking maybe you have pieces that used to be linked up here. View of Lisbon project. So that just takes us to this.
I think that breakdance shot's better than the one in his Foundation too.
Yep. And it's for the reason we talked about. The background is a little more blurry.
Yeah, and a little closer to our subject.
Yeah. Here we go. Okay. I didn't even think about this. Okay, so let's take a look.
OpenSea collection. Wait, so he has a View of Lisbon on OpenSea and a View of Lisbon on Foundation?
Yeah, and realize the foundation pieces show up here, so they're not duplicates.
Oh, okay. It's an interesting choice to put the same series and collection on two different platforms.
Yeah.
Does this one have any sales?
No.
I mean, if it doesn't have any sales, then I would consider. It says there's one winner though. I was gonna say I would consider removing this if you have it on another platform. I don't. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
I
think
don't.
it's a good.
It's not
It's a good
helping you
look.
at all. If anything, it's a little confusing to have them listed on both platforms.
even though they're different photos, it's just still, um,
Yeah.
why not why not have the best, all the best of the best of a view of Lisbon in one collection, rather than having it split up between two, where you have to say, I have to sacrifice some of these best so they could be on Foundation. I have to sacrifice some of these best so they could be on OpenSea. You're cutting yourself short here on your ability to make the most powerfully curated collection that you can. Look at
Yeah.
that shot, family shadows. That's so cool. First shot, second row. Like,
Oh yeah, that's great. Okay, let me say something here. When I'm looking at these, this is what I hear what you're saying. You mentioned in the chat that you spent a lot of money on Foundation. I'm just going to tell you flat out, I did too, but gas is way cheaper now, and so like Mike said, you may want to think about just spend some time, really think about looking through your work and decide if maybe some of those pieces don't fit the collection that well. But even all this being said, we've talked about in these sessions, we're talking about being nitpicky and trying to get the collections right. But I think we always need to lean back into the idea that they're not going to sell themselves just because your collection looks good. So you still are going to have to put in the work to get the work in front of to get this work in front of people's eyes. Just because it's the collection is not going to all of a sudden make it better. It's that you don't want people to arrive somewhere ready to because they got interested in work and then have the collection not make any sense, or have them be standing there with a question of, no, what I like here. And some collectors, if they don't like the collection and feel like it's cohesive, they just won't buy, even if they love the one piece they're looking at.
I agree completely with that. I
Yeah.
would have a hard time wanting to buy from a collection that has also the same name of a collection on two different platforms. Simply just because they're on two different platforms, so it feels a little bit sloppy to me. But then also because I know that that photographer could have, you know, one collection that's tightly and beautifully curated, but chose to use two different platforms and therefore had to take the best of each worlds of it and move them around into different areas.
Yeah.
And and we all make mistakes here, and I've made mistakes myself, and sometimes it just takes having to wait for gas to get really low, and you know and burn ones. Yeah, that stinks that there's so many on Foundation, and you don't have the
Yeah.
ability to just get rid of the Foundation one and let us help you curate the most perfect one on OpenSea. If you have a really good collection, I don't know what to say about it.
Yeah. Well, I think ultimately what it comes down to, and I'll just say this, I'm looking at, we've talked about that there's a Foundation thing, and then you're over here, and when I look through this, when I look through at your OpenSea profile, it's a little confusing. There's just a lot happening here, so I think it might make sense for you to step back and think about. You've got a lot of work here and it's kind of hard to parse through what is everything. And I would probably focus more on, figure out what you're going to focus on. Um, some of this is just a little, while I find it interesting, it's hard for me. It's hard for me to know what the story is here of you as an artist. So, do you have anything else you'd want to add, Mike, or you want to move on?
Sorry, I was muted. No, I think we provided a lot of valuable feedback. It's unfortunately one of those circumstances. A lot of stuff was minted on Foundation, and it's hard to get it off the blockchain without having to pay money. So it's just um, yeah, it's like a lesson learned. But like I said, with ETH trading sideways, gas can be very, very low at times, and it may be worth it for you to spend $5 to, remove a piece at a time when you can. That's my best advice. I think there's
Yeah.
some really great work within your collection.
Let me find the next one. I can't remember which one it was. Is this the next one?
I can tell you based off of my.
Yeah, this is the
Okay, cool.
threshold in the city of Bodrum. And our Ahmet, and I'm gonna butcher this, Saglar. I don't know if I got that right. Kaglar. I don't know what the little squiggle means. Unfortunately. Okay, so threshold, the point that is difficult to overcome for psychological reasons. The documentary project is about the waiting, sheltering, and life struggles of refugees who took refuge in Turkey, and some of them trying to go to European countries in the hope of a better life in Bodrum Peninsula, which is one of the transition points to Europe. The last threshold, both physically and psychologically, before Europe. The photos were taken in 2015 to 2016. After the Syrian civil war, many people came to Turkey to migrate to Europe from the Middle East and Far East countries with refugees. The irregular migrant movement continues today. The collection consists of 15 photographs. So we've got black and white. We're sticking in that black and white vein for a little while here. This is really interesting to me because we've now moved into this is photojournalism documentary type work. It opens up my brain a little bit in terms of what I'm looking at. If that makes sense.
You cut out there for me for a bit. Can you say that again?
I was just going to say when we start looking at documentary type work and photojournalistic work, to me, it just changes. Like I look at the photo collection and I immediately think, okay, what I'm looking for is different than what I'm looking for when I look at street photography. I'm looking for something clever. I'm looking for geometry. When I'm looking at documentary work like this, I want people. I want to see the people. I want to understand their relationships. I want to understand context.
So yeah, emotion. Yeah, agree.
And it's interesting because there's some pieces like this one here that, oh, come on, OpenSea, get it together.
Maybe sorted by old.
Did that?
He might have deleted. He might have deleted that piece. He might have deleted that piece. Go to listen. I tell you, I did this. I did this collection with Samia last week, and that's fine. And maybe I didn't check it off that I didn't. We could talk about it again, totally. But that was one of the ones in there that we didn't think fit, and so maybe the artist just removed that. Can you sort by oldest?
Yeah.
Get an idea.
Oh, you're saying you guys reviewed this one already?
Yeah, we did review this, and maybe I didn't hit the check marks that we did, and it's totally fine.
Okay. That's okay.
And we could talk about it again. And so I think this collection has a really strong idea behind it, because these are actually Turkish refugees that they came to Turkey as refugees from the Syrian war. And so this one I found interesting in the collection. It was the only vertical, and I like what's going on in the bottom of the frame, but I'm not sure that it worked as like kind of a diptych with that piece of wood splitting it.
Right.
But yeah, there's stories to all of these, right? Is there?
Yeah.
To each image does each image here have an individual description, or is it a copy paste?
Looks like it's the same.
Oh, it's the copy paste. Okay.
Yeah.
But like this shot's really interesting to me.
This one has a different description.
Nice, nice. Oh yeah, yeah. I love those two guys in the back, the furthest back. They look like brothers, and their
Yeah.
expression, it's great. And it's like there's see some of these shots like from when you look at it as a whole, they look very busy, right? But then when you open it up, you realize that like there's a lot happening in there that's really strong. Um, this is the shot from the cover photo, right? So from their cover image, which
Right.
is, but if you go to the cover image, I'm actually a little more attracted to the cover image.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I agree.
yeah, so I think that the crop there could be just about those two, like not a thin crop like that, but just something that's a little bit more focused in on that moment because that's the strongest moment in that image there. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, to me, a lot gets lost because of how busy it is, right?
I think this one maybe is kind of redundant in the collection.
It is. So I think you could lose this one and crop the next one to be
Yeah.
closer because we have so many busy images, right? So we need some more kind of some focused ones, right?
I have another suggestion.
Sure.
This one, but cropped like this, vertical,
It
like
could work. It could work that way.
because it tells the story. It's a little more of like the mothers looking over the kids. But either way, I think they're both good. Cropped in could work really well. Here's what I find interesting about this. I think, like for me, that's redundant. I don't know that I would include that one. And I think this is telling the story of the life jackets really well, the boats. Um, some of these are interesting. I find this one maybe not quite as interesting as this one here, with telling this story of the children. And I think this one also, this is kind of interesting, but I think we just don't have a clear. There's not a clear subject in this one.
Not a clear understanding of what's actually going
Yeah,
on to me
I
either. I
want I
see.
want to build a story. Whereas look
Look
at
at
this one.
the Oh yeah, the guy's hand like shielding the boy. It's
And
a
they're all
beautiful
listening.
shot.
They're all trying to figure out what's happening.
hmm Look at the last shot on the first row, too. First row left. Yeah, this is a great shot of a baby being transferred over, rescued.
This one's
Leslie
already.
Spurlock picked that one up. Yeah, Leslie got that one.
Leslie's is
Beautiful.
a pretty amazing street photographer. Not surprising, and
Yeah,
documentary photographer.
and this one's strong to me too with the refugees. I think this one is really great. So like
Yeah,
like I said, like some of them seem really busy from afar, and when you open them up, they're actually very strong. But when you have too many photographs within the same collection that have so many subjects, I like to see a comma in between
right.
where it's a little more focused in on maybe a portrait of someone, or maybe it's focused in on, some objects like life jackets, just life jackets alone.
Yeah,
Just something, some pieces that make more that tell the story without having to have so many people within every image.
yeah, yeah. I think it's what I would love to see is some more that are a little bit more up close. I think this is this spot where like the crop of the girls would make a lot more sense. Um, and potentially like this one could be maybe a little bit like cropped in here, something like this.
Yeah, like maybe at that guy's hands.
Maybe you only get the crossed arms on this one. It's like you cut off the top. Um,
Yeah, and maybe if it was tilted a bit to where the piece of wood going across was like a straight split. I
yeah.
don't know if that would help, but maybe it would.
No, I think this is interesting. Well, you guys already covered this one, so I don't know that I have a whole lot more to add here, except just there's a few extras I think that could come out, and we have some ideas about some crops and things. Anything
Yeah,
else?
how what is let's look at the price point. 0.2, right? That's at 0.2 all across the board.
Yeah, looks like it.
All right, 0.2 all across the board. Properties, is there properties? So there's no properties. So I would consider adding properties into these, as the properties are now looking at as like the metadata with blockchain for our photography. It's a great idea to add those properties, especially on the ones that have not sold. So we have a couple
Yeah.
sales in here, but definitely would add those properties.
Yeah, this is something that if anybody's listened to the recording, I mean, here we are, we're an hour and a half in. I'm saying it because I keep saying it. I feel like I'm a broken record. If you are creating NFTs, take the time and add the properties. And it doesn't have to be nerdy camera data. It needs to be, where is this located? What is your license type? um, what's the edition? Is it a one of one? Is it an edition? How many editions are there? You need to add that stuff, and I'm going to throw a big one out there. Put your artist name in the properties. Um, I am a firm believer that if you do that, you are setting yourself up for a future where your NFTs are going to be parsed correctly by all the different platforms, and all that data will be easily findable and searchable. You don't put that stuff in there, then you're trusting that they're going to search through the text that you've put on your stuff. If you
Great.
rely on the description, you're trusting that they're going to search through that and grab the right stuff. And I'll tell you what, they don't necessarily find it or parse it correctly. But if you put it in the description and if you put it in the properties and you say, what is the and you name your property. Your property is licensing type, and then you call it extended editorial or you call it commercial. There is no doubt about what you intended,
Yeah,
and people
and
can search.
I think the last thing that I would just leave on this, since we've covered this since it was covered last week, is I'm looking at this photograph, and it's only has 8 views, and and when was what's the activity on when these were minted? Scroll down. So four
4 months.
months, only 8 people saw this in 4 months. So my question is like, what is the photographer doing within the space to get eyes on their own work? Like that's a long time for only 8 people to see your image. So what's the pinned tweet? Cotton candy, right? So beautiful shot. It's an addition, right? Is any of these tweets like what? So here we go. Okay, third international photography content organized by um.
Let me let me
Okay.
let me. I'm gonna go because I'm on the wrong. Let's say tweets and replies. Yeah, I mean, our artist here is pretty active. Um,
Doesn't look like that active with his collection that's not
so
moving for 4 months.
yeah.
So
Okay.
speaking,
Let's take a look at this because this he also has an edition out right now.
yeah, 7 owners. So let's see, maybe something. Look, 173 views. So obviously, there's a lot more focus into promoting this right now.
Yeah, which is makes sense. I mean, we're kind of in edition season right now, but
Yeah, yeah,
um, this is the work that got submitted, and maybe it was submitted a while ago. Like I said, we didn't have a lot of submissions this week in the landscape, so we were kind of searching for some other stuff. Here's kind of my thought though. Um, if you want it to get seen, you got to show it. Your work's not going to be found organically. If you
okay,
that's the real world right now. Nobody's going to find your work organically.
yeah.
You got to promote it. Cool. Shall we?
Yeah, we should. Thanks.
All right. Let's move on. Uh,
Cool.
okay. I think this is the right one, right?
It's an addition. Yeah, there should be this, then she the mother, and then in search of sunrise.
Okay.
So we get three,
Okay.
three more. Mhm.
So this is our artist Shubham Ganjev or Ganjav. Man, I need to travel more. Um, so this is a edition that was submitted, and let's look at it a little bit here. I'm going to go click on the way this is set up. So it looks like this particular image that's an edition is also set up as its own collection in OpenSea. So edition, there's 25. Um, it's a street documentary photo, a genre, shot on the phone, black and white. Um, I would say that you probably can. Well, you've already sold some, so you can't. Actually, have you sold any?
No, no sales.
No. Okay, so because you haven't sold them, here's my suggestion. Um, I would. This all is all stuff that should be here. So if you've got stuff that's duplicated, I would get rid of it. Like the processing black and white, you've already got that down here. Um, shot on phone, so you don't know genre. This is the perfect place for that stuff. It doesn't need to be up here. So I would trim that down a little bit. Um,
Yeah, I agree. So 0.03 times 25 is asking for 0.75 ETH. So
yeah,
in situations like this, I like to look at this artist history and sales, and also you know, maybe minting 25 is too much if you can't sell, the first one, right? Um, so let's take a look.
yeah.
How
Okay,
is the
so
how past collections, how have they done?
yeah, I always forget. Is there a? There's not a way to see that, is there?
Well, yeah, those are the three at the top. So
Oh, I
monochromatic
just, I just meant
faces,
like total volume.
gratitude, monochromatic faces.
Let's just take a look in here and see.
That's the no
Okay.
volume here, and this has 10 items, right? So we're minting additions when we haven't sold the one of one yet, you know. And to mint an edition of 25 when you haven't been able to sell a one of one yet is a bit too ambitious, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Why not mint an edition of 10? And why are we looking to get 0.75 when we can't get 0.07 on a one of one? 0.07, which is 7 times less, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do, and it's also in the collection here. Look,
Well,
hold
I think
on.
we're not in the
Oh
collection.
no,
I
it's
mean,
not. I'm sorry. I
yeah.
thought it was in the collection for 0.03. I got confused. Okay. Let's take a look at the other collection that he has. Gratitude on the right. Okay, and what is this? This is an addition.
It doesn't. I don't think so.
Maybe this is a gifted to someone. No, he still owns 10. He created another edition. Okay, so I,
Yeah.
I hate to put this artist in the spotlight like this, but I so I'm just gonna be flat out and be honest. This is a great example of like what not to do is saturate your own market with unsold pieces. It's just too many, right? And here's the good news. You have no sales on either edition. You have no sales on your one of one collection. At this point, I would personally like I would remove two of these. Either your one of one collection in one of the editions or however you want to do this. To be honest, this edition is 10. I think it makes a lot more sense than a 25 in your current situation. But this is where I'd like to dive into this artist's work to find this artist their best piece that maybe they could remove all of their everything that they have on OpenSea right now, and it'll be free. And we could find their best, most amazing piece to make an addition out of that is a fair amount of additions, and is going to work, you know, because I don't want to see the artist continue to mint and mint and mint onto the blockchain. And thankfully, this artist has done this on OpenSea, where mistakes can easily be corrected for free.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got the Instagram account pulled up here, and I'm just going to say right off the bat, I think that the okay. So I'm going to go back to the look at this. A lot of black and white, right?
Yes.
Pull up this artist profile. The strongest thing about this profile is the color.
Yeah.
Like
Um,
I saw this picture in black and white, but it is way more powerful in color.
I like it better in color. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This is no, you got to go color on.
Yeah, I think it's better in color. It's good. It's a good image either way. But
I agree. But here's what I'm kind of getting at. I look at this. This is a really interesting body of work with some like I look at this and I think, okay, so stuff that could be minted. Obviously, this one. That could be a great addition. This is actually really interesting too. Um, could be part of a collection.
What is the red one on the with the blue guy in the blue? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, great
shot.
color.
Great color. And this.
Yeah, I guess kind of what I would get at is my. I know you mentioned not wanting to be too, put this person too much on the spot. Here's my question: why black and white? Why are we seeing so many of these black and white street sort of? I think this is oversaturated. I think there's too much of this kind of work in the marketplace.
I think there's a lot of it. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and maybe our MetaJungle community, we just see a lot more of it. But I'm just gonna flat out say it. We have so much of this kind of documentary faces street work from people that are doing great documentary work. But I think by making it black and white, you're in a lot of ways, I think you're kind of pigeonholing yourself and you're making it look like everybody else's work.
Yeah.
That's my gut. I would think about moving towards color. I think especially for this artist, as somebody who obviously cares a lot about color, I think that you're maybe trying to copy what you've seen other people do successfully. And I think that black and white, I think that trend might be a little oversaturated, which is a goofy word to use for that. But there might be just too much of this kind of work out there.
Yeah. Well, and my biggest thing is you've got to stop. You got to stop minting so much. You're minting so much. How can you pay attention to one of these collections at a time? You'd have to be on Twitter all the time to even showcase all these collections. And if you did do that, you'd have no time to showcase anyone else's work, and people would get tired of seeing your own work on Twitter all the time. You've oversaturated your market here. I'm just going to be completely honest. I would remove everything that I have on OpenSea, and I would start over with a Genesis piece in an edition form of 10 pieces at a reasonable price, get a sellout, and move on from there. It just seems a bit oversaturated. And
Boss Mom pointed out this photo. Take a look at it.
She pulled up a photo.
She mentioned this one.
Something fishy on the Instagram makes me giggle. That's great. It's funny.
Yeah. Well, I guess this is to bring it back and make it a little bit more lighthearted. I think that when I look at one of my goals when I'm looking at the work of different artists is to kind of step back and go, what's unique about what you do? And when I say, hey, don't do gritty street photos in black and white, I'm not saying it because you don't do a good job at it. I'm saying getting your work on here putting them in a collection, minting them, and making them NFTs. The whole point is for you to get them on here and sell them. Like you want to show them, but you need to develop a market. And I'm kind of telling you that I think that is not your strength. And I think that that is a piece of the NFT market that it's oversaturated. There's too much black and white gritty street photography. And if I were you, I would pull back from that and do something different. And I think Mike is right. You're at a spot where because you haven't made a lot of sales, it doesn't hurt you to just delete collections and start over in some ways, and just kind of figure out what connects, what stuff can you put out there that will be unique in the market.
That's just what I would do, like if it was my bodies of work and my collections, and I saw that oversaturated it, and I saw that it was like an additions market, and I had trouble selling. I would, I would, I'd burn all of my OpenSea stuff. I'd start over with like my best image that I ever took, and I would, I'd make an edition of it of like 10 or 15, and maybe bring in 0.3 ETH or something like that to start yourself,
Yeah,
and at least have a sold out Genesis piece. Like there's
yeah,
some really interesting stuff in here as we scroll through and look, right? So it's like
yep, great.
so you also got to think about like what do you want your journey to be about, right? Like what you know,
Yeah.
there's
Well, let's
so much. Mhm.
you ready to move on?
Yeah. Uh,
Okay, so this one is She, the Mother, and it took me forever to figure out the the artist's name on this one. So uh, I'm gonna try to get this one right. Ritam Bhattacharya. Um,
nice.
I need to take some lessons in Indian names. That's probably what it is. Um, but either way, interesting interesting piece. I want to look at the description. So this one is this is an addition. So they said just call me Ritam. Ritam, did I say it right? Oh, you just said I did do it right, and it's Casino Man is the username in Discord. So when I look at this one, the description says there's 10 of them, and I'll just read it. I live in a country where women have suffered and suppressed for centuries under the pressure of religion, rituals, and customs. I come from a country where women were not allowed to thrive and prosper because they had to take care of the family, kids, and cover their faces, not to be seen by the outsiders. But I also come from a country where we worship Ma Durga, who is a woman, an epitome of strength, love, and peace. I also come from a country where our daughters are referred as Ma, Mother. In this image of Ma Durga, it is very clear that the women of our Mother Earth is on triumph. The good always prevails over evil, and thus in this image, the evil, which are the hands, the teeth, meaning harm to the mother, is in dark and cold, but the light, the only bit of warm light that shines on Ma Durga's smiling face, is a clear indication that evil will not see the light. So we've got an edition of 10. We've got our license here. We've got location. We've got edition size. It's a good low-priced edition. You don't have information here. Let me about the what you were thinking about charging for it. I'm going to see if that's in the spreadsheet.
Well, that's one good thing too, is that they're asking for advice before they've listed for sale. So that's smart.
Yeah, and then they asked some questions. This is an image that speaks to me very strongly. Does it have potential um, to be a successful edition piece? And then I want to airdrop to one person. When's the best time to airdrop? And then just what do we think about the image and interpretation?
Sure.
So
Or do you want to
go
go
ahead.
ahead first? You
No,
can go
you
ahead.
go ahead.
That's
Go
fine.
ahead.
Sure. So, well, the description of it is very powerful to me. In this case, the description is more powerful than the image for me, because I feel that there's just it's very dark. It's hard to see a lot of the detail within the image. It is interestingly mysterious. I don't I want to see I definitely want to see the artist's other work before I say that this would be the one that I would use as the edition.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. I kind of tend to have similar thoughts. Here's what's kind of interesting. Look at this. Look at this here, what the thumbnail looks like for the collection. Way more
It looks
zoomed in.
it looks better horizontally like that, I
I
think.
think I think there's just too much space up at the top, and I know that there's these hands, but when I pull it up and look at it, it's not super clear what's going on. Um,
hmm hmm There's a
here's
lot
so
of
here's
negative space and darkness in areas where I don't know where I'm supposed to be pulling details from, and my eyes move to spaces where I'm like, "Oh, I don't know."
yeah,
My interest wants to remain on what's happening kind of in the center.
yeah. I agree. I think here's kind of what it comes down to. And Boss Mom said it in the chat here. What a description! It is really a great description. I love the idea. I love um, the sentiment and the message. I feel like maybe the photo doesn't serve the message as well as it could. Um, and I don't know if there's a way to shoot this in a more balanced, if there's a more balanced way, if it's a framing thing or if it's a lighting thing, that I don't know. And I don't know where you took it. Like that's the thing that's hard to know is this um, is this a place where you can go and you can reshoot it? Is the lighting something you can control? That sort of thing. Are you limited as to where you can stand in and take this image? That all of those things are kind of interesting questions.
So he said in the chat, he said, noted. It was really dark. I was on a crop sensor, really pushed the ISO hard. I agree, it's a bit too dark. And I said, all right, so let's take a look at what else you got. And he's interested in revisiting. So and it's something to revisit because he didn't put it for sale yet, which is smart to come and ask for feedback before that. And so it's always good to get multiple eyes on your work. This is something that I'm.
Yeah. Okay, so from a photography standpoint, so look at this. I've zoomed in a little bit here. There's these hands up here, right? I
Yep.
think you've got like three different hands. You've got some kind of a like anguished face over here. It's super dark, but I don't know if you can see that. You've got these. I don't know what this is here, and you've
Looks like
got
more hands, and that's like
yeah,
teeth from a beast, like a teeth from a beast.
yeah. Okay, so here's a thought on this one. I don't know if you can get in there with a tripod, but to me, this one, I feel like there's a couple things. You almost want a little more, you want a wider angle, or maybe even take multiple photos and stitch them together. And I would think about doing this. Um, I actually want to look and see if you've got it in your properties. I'm curious. Just getting like nerdy and technical. Okay, so you shot it with a 51.8 on the Sony a6000. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking you're using a fairly open aperture, which is making it so that this stuff's out of focus, and then your focus is back here. And what I would think about trying to do is a longer exposure and stop down your aperture a bit so that this stuff's more in focus and get more of this in the frame, whatever
Yeah,
you've got in hand. And then
yeah.
the whole thing looks a little crooked, and I want a little more of this in here, but there's nothing. This doesn't add any value to your shot.
Maybe a tripod's best to use in a case like this.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I would definitely get in here with a tripod and do a longer exposure and stop it down to like f8, maybe even like f11. Um, and if you can bring your own light, you can light paint the thing. Or maybe the long exposure is enough. I don't know what the light source is. But I think it has potential. I think that the image itself maybe isn't quite high quality enough. And in your description and your message deserves, I think, maybe a slightly better version of it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So can we look at some of the other ones?
Yeah. Oops, wrong. I was just here.
Yeah, click on She the Mother, and then there should be Instagram on the top right. Oh wow. So wow, wonderful food photography.
Artist.
Wonderful food photography. I'm hungry now. I'm done hungry. I mean,
Yeah.
I see how you wouldn't use food photography as you know.
Yeah, but this is cool. This is cool.
Yeah, but is there a link? Do we have a link, Casino Man, to your other? Well, his website right there on Instagram.
Say it again.
He has a website, a link on Instagram right there. Okay, so
So here, all the stuff you did about telling you how to make the image better, you don't need my advice on that. You know what you're doing.
Obviously, right?
Yeah,
What's
I mean,
portfolio?
you know how to use artificial light. You know how to use depth of field creatively. You don't need me to tell you how to do stuff.
He says he's got other works on OpenSea, so maybe there's a one of one that he could break down. He could burn the one of one for free and make that an edition. So
Yeah,
these are on
okay.
those are on Polygon. That one's awesome. That black and white one is really appealing. Like, I'm really going to my eyes.
Yeah, there's a bunch of great work here.
Yeah, the one called "Love You Flow in Me." Second row, second to last. Pretty beautiful. It's
Yeah, that's great.
So it's a Polygon thing, but that doesn't matter. You can ignore that. Yeah, I see stuff in here that will work as a better edition than what you currently have, I think.
Yeah.
Because look at it, how dark it is in comparison to everything.
Yeah. Oh, this one's an edition too.
Mm-hmm. And it has 3 owners. That's good.
Yeah. We got some friends in here.
Oh yeah, I see that.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, all this stuff being said, I think this is one of those ones where we just gotta kind of. I think you should just step back as an artist and think about, this is not the same quality as your other work, and I think that it sounds like you kind of know that. So I would reshoot it if you have the ability to. I would reshoot it, and that story is powerful, and it deserves a better version of that photo. I don't mean to be a jerk about it, but
Yeah.
that's my take. And when I look at your work, I know that I know you are capable of doing it. I know you're capable of putting that together. So yeah.
Yeah, clearly. I don't have any advice either, because it's like you look at this artist, like food photography, it's just phenomenal. Like
Right.
it's yeah, it
Oh,
looks
I'm
like it
looking.
should be in magazines for food, right? Like for
Yeah,
food and drink.
I could hang around and watch and see. Oh, look at this.
I'm too hungry now.
But look at this right here. This is a
Yeah.
come on, computer. This is a really, really good use of. It has dark, but it also has just the right amount of everything there. And look at the way the depth work. It's just perfect.
So professional, yeah. I love it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, let's move on here. He knows what to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last one is In Search of Sunrise. But let me try the name. By Abraham Elmi.
Sounds right to me.
Ibrahim Elmi. Okay, cool. I could read this one, right? I'll read it.
Yeah.
But click see more because there's more. Okay. As a photographer, I choose to be the voice of people that don't have any voices. We all cross the city streets every day. Because of our busy lives, we don't focus on what's happening around us. But as a photographer, I always stand in a corner and pay attention to everything. And I'm always suffering from the problems of child labor. Most of us pass by these children every day without paying attention to them. What they do to improve their lives and their future, instead of going to school and playing, they work in conditions of an adult or worse. In this collection, I look deeper into this problem, and instead of capturing their photos while working, I decided to record their feelings and souls. Although they are working in adult situations and they may be under a lot of physical and mental pressures, we can feel the passion of childhood in their eyes and faces. In these photos, the eyes and hands play the main role because the soul and emotions can be felt through the eyes. And by looking at the hands, we can understand the difficulties that humans had in their lives. I used white color in the background to express the clarity and purity of the nature of these children, and the scratches that I added as a metaphor for the troubles and bitterness that entered the souls of these children. Part of the income from this collection will go to homeless children's charity. So I think it's a very well written artist statement. It gives us an idea that this artist has a lot of compassion and empathy towards those who are suffering that don't have a lot. And through the images, we do see that they're these children have this glimmer of light in them and this glimmer of hope and soul still as they are children, that there could be better life, right? And some of them seem really happy. Number 5 is, I really love that one. Collected. That shot's really great. Beautiful, beautiful expression. I love that he talked about the hands and the eyes in this one, and the eyes they really can see into the soul, and the hands are beautiful too. They all have a description too. They're all very descriptive about each child, and I wonder when I look at the backgrounds here if these are the natural backgrounds that he put them with, because they kind of look like I don't know, when you put a layer over something in Photoshop to give it like a gritty background. But for some reason, I think these are actually the walls of where they're from. On a constructive note, if we go down to the bottom row, that one all the way on the left, memento, it seems a little pushed for me. It seems a little too pushed, like in the clarity and texture. Unless child just has that much dirt on his actual face.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think this one just works better. It feels more.
Realistic.
It's kind of like the highlights and shadows have been boosted a little too much in this other one.
Yeah, they almost feel like charcoal or like pencil sketches, right? And that's just maybe just a stylized choice, and some people will really like that. But others, might be turned off a bit by the over processing of it. But I do think they're really joyful. I like the idea behind the project here too.
Yeah.
I'm more of a fan of the single portraits. This one is the best for me by far. But I'm more of a fan of the single portraits as I am the doubles.
I like this one the best.
It's a nice one too. Yeah.
So in terms of let's talk a little bit about we've been looking at everybody's Instagram accounts, right? Hey, it looks familiar.
Yeah. More people shooting still life. I see like a lot of Instagrams today are like still life, food and stuff too, or like commercial. That's cool. Some of those commercial shots. He's up close, so it's really closer. That's great. That shot's awesome.
Yeah. Look at this one.
Beautiful.
This reminds me of the Columbia ads with
Like the Columbia
mom.
jackets.
No, yeah, So the yes, there was a big ad campaign with the like Gert Boyle, the mom of the founder of Columbia.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen it.
She passed away a couple years ago, but they had this gritty black and white look, and she was always like really judgy, like she was watching to make sure he did everything right.
Wow.
Yeah, I think yeah, when I look through here, I think it's good work. Um, in terms, I'm kind of curious about. I would be kind of curious if there's where would we look to see? I think the easiest way to get there. We'll just go to Twitter. So if I
Following.
look on Twitter, okay, here we go. Foundation. See what other works out there. Okay, so
Ooh,
these are on Foundation.
I love those color ones too.
Yeah, those are great. Oh, and they're sold.
Oh wow, nice job. And I love those. Wow.
This is an artist has sold some work, which is great. Um, and so one of the things that I would kind of think about is like what made these sell? What was the way that these sold that the newer stuff other stuff hasn't sold? So I'm going to take a look at these.
No, but maybe we could use some of the help too, since you don't sell much on Foundation.
Yeah. So these were minted in March and sold in March. This one here. Um, I'm guessing they're all kind of similar. March, April. Okay. And then I want to look at these, the one we like here. This was minted around the same time, April 10th. So I just really want to know. I think this would be the thing I would work out and try to suss out is what has made this other work sell that has like you got Benjamin Bitcoin's attention here. That's a prominent collector. What's what's making you connect to these ones but hasn't connected these, and why not more traction on these? How long have these been out? Like that's a good question too.
Yeah.
Never. I think Slick is a little more. They're a little more. They hide that stuff a little more, don't they?
Learn more. No, it's licensed. Or what about a
Oh,
view metadata or view
so
contract?
he says about a
Uh,
month. It's been out about a month on Sloika. So I think these are the questions I would ask is just to figure out like what happened that made that other stuff go, and then what have you done to put this stuff in front of those same collectors? Do you rely on spaces? Are you relying on DMs? Are you, what are you doing to get this work in front of the collectors? Did they like the color stuff because it's a little more edgy? Like I like the description on these. It says the story's about Anna, a lonely girl who's an android and lives in 2085. Like it's super interesting. It's edgy. It's a little sexier, um, and I'm curious if that's what made the connection with people. Like I would probably lean into that a little bit, figure out what it was, and see if those same collectors might also be interested in your other work. And I'm guessing you may have already done some of that, but that would be the thing I would maybe recommend to try to get some traction on this stuff.
yeah, I totally get
Okay.
that there.
He
Well,
says 70% on spaces. I sold 30% in Shell Twitter, and usually they told me we like colorful and beautiful girls. So I was spot on. Color and girls.
yeah.
Uh,
I
Go ahead, Mike.
no, it's that last shot I really like. Can you open it? It's the last one.
Oh yeah. Which
Uh-huh.
down here?
Yeah, yeah. These are really very black and white. See, I'm more drawn to black and white that's edited this way, like than because it doesn't
Well,
feel over clarity. It doesn't feel like the clarity and the textures are just overdone.
there's one
Feel
really important aspect here. It's that
Yeah, I
there
mean,
are there's
obviously this is
blacks.
beauty.
He's not
Yeah,
afraid of
there.
that.
Yeah, true blacks. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, if we could move over to the other collection and look at those now again, you know, that one works for me though. This one works for me though.
Yeah.
This shot, and it's
What,
one of my
whereas
favorite ones.
this one feels like the shadows are pulled a little bit too much.
Like brought up too much.
Yeah, yeah. Well, oh, so he just
So
said he got the idea
should
from Lee Jeffries' works and wanted a little bit to be like a drawing. Okay, I kind of see that. Like kind of
mhm.
like charcoal.
Yeah, but this one doesn't. That one, like some of them just don't feel over processed, and some of them just do
Yeah.
for me. You know,
Well, and
and
also what we're saying is this is subjective. This is just our.
yeah,
We feel about
yeah,
it.
it's subjective. So yeah, of course, but yeah, I I I like. I've seen all your work too combined. You know, great, really great photographer. This
Yeah,
I think this has
I
a
agree.
lot of, but yeah, I think this has a lot of potential. This collection too. I mean,
Yeah.
we're also in a soft
Well,
market, right? It's not easy to sell a one-of-one right now.
agreed. It's something that I'm nervous about. So more power to you if you can make it work. Well, okay, so we've made it to a couple hours, and that was our last selection for this week.
Yeah, I mean, maybe any if there's any questions from the audience, we can take that before we wrap up. It'd be cool.
Looks like our
He's
artist
typing.
is typing. Oh yeah, hey, just wanted to say thanks. No, I appreciate you submitting the work. And it's always interesting to submit your work and ask for feedback. I don't. I think Mike and I both we don't take it lightly that you're trusting us to try to give you some opinions here. And sometimes I know you don't know people aren't always going to agree with what we're telling you. We're just trying to tell you from what we've seen. But yeah, we've seen some really good work today. I think um,
Yeah.
we've said we hope that you have success, that you're able to connect with the right people, that you get to express your art in a way that makes you feel good and in a way that connects with other people.
And then we have Jeff says, Mike, my fiance was listening to you and says you sound like James Frank. I think maybe I just sound like James Frank today. I'm very tired and not getting enough sleep all week from the NFT I see all weekend. Maybe he lives his life a little like that too. But yeah, I'm a little less less, I guess,
I mean,
enthusiastic and hyper today. But
I
I'll
think what
take
she's
it.
trying to say is it's the how James Franco is kind of always playing dudes who are stoned. Maybe that's the
Yeah. I get it. I totally get it. And I'm not. I'm not. I'm just tired.
right
I'm
down.
tired. Then I got to work on the security AMA after this too. So
Yeah. Good luck with that one.
let's put the
Well,
slides together.
looks like Goon is trying to push some
Yeah, let's
POAP
get
token.
that POAPs.
Oh, look at
Oh,
that. Bam! Hey, I have a question, Goon. If you're here and can talk, what is the utility of having those? What is there? I know we talked about it a while ago, but I'm
you
curious.
get rich. You could
What
get
happened with
rich
those?
one day. You can sell them for like Bitcoin in the future, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yep. Makes sense to
Fun.
me.
getting
Good
my
times. Well, this
wait,
was a
where
fun session.
it's so I'm on my phone because I got to collect it from my phone. It's not an AMA live chat on the phone. So like, what is it? I've seen on my computer. Feedback AMA. That's the chat.
So Abraham wanted to ask something. What do you got? We're still rolling. We'll wait patiently.
Yeah, I gotta send one of these OAP links to my own VM because I can't get into this feedback AMA chat for some reason on my phone, and that's where I should collect it.
Yeah.
Minimize this.
Hmm. Okay, so Abraham asks, from your opinion, what is the reason I didn't sell the black and white portraits in my foundation? Oh, like these guys here. See, that's the thing I was kind of asking you to figure out, like, what caused the other stuff to go. There's two things. Okay, I think that my gut is I think they might be priced a little bit high compared to your other work. I got some interesting feedback a few weeks ago. I was talking to Matt Scoble, and I'm part of the Artverse, and he was doing these consultations with Artverse members, and we talked about the idea that we go and we sell our work, and then if you sell it for 0.25 or 0.29, that you go, okay, then now the next set is 0.39. But I think there might be an issue where if people saw that the last one sold for these prices, they're not going to be super excited to see these start at higher prices. Now, I'm not saying if you drop your price to this that they'll go, but what I'm saying is they're not as quote unquote sexy as these ones, right? People like the color and they like the pretty girl. This is not that. This is the exact opposite of that. But these also do have some really cool um, artistic vibes, and people might go, oh, that's kind of weird. I like that. I feel like this might be a little high priced for one of ones right now, unless you have the sales to back up that you can sell for that much. Like I've sold, I think I was doing the math the other day, and I've sold 16 one of ones, which is not a ton. And one of them was sold for 1.15, but it was a one off. It was a private sale to one of my collectors. After that, the next highest one is 0.5, and then a 0.4, a handful of 0.3s, and then a bunch of 0.25s and a couple 0.15s. Most of the higher price things happened a long time ago when the price for one of ones was a little higher. It was easier to land a 0.3 sale. I just think 0.39, it's an awful lot in the current market for one of ones if you don't have the demand for something that high priced. Now, that being said, I have stuff priced at 0.5 on my site, and it's not moving right now. I have stuff priced at 0.25, and that's not moving either. So I think it's a factor of a few things. First of all, it's not as sexy as the other stuff, so it's going to be a little harder to find your cyberpunk, future girl color collector. Second of all, the price. I think you might want to think about maybe going a little higher, a little lower priced on them, and see if that, and not a lot. I wouldn't drop them by a lot, but drop them by a little bit and see if that helps. But part of it is that I think what I've been told by a couple different collectors is that they don't get excited to see that the next piece that you put out is more expensive than the last one. So while you want to raise prices, it might actually stifle your sales instead of driving them forward. I don't know if that helps. It's just an opinion.
Yeah, I mean, also like when did those sell? Did those sell when like one of the people were selling, or did they sell recently?
Those sold in March. These
Yeah,
ones sold in
April, May, June. I mean, one of ones are still selling in March, right? We aren't really like in the heavy edition thing yet in March, were we?
Right. No, the edition thing happened in May.
There you go. So of course it's going to
J-
be much harder to
in
sell those other ones for a higher price in a market
yeah,
that's not buying at that price.
in late April, early May, there was a big run on foundation bids, but a whole bunch of collectors were getting in bidding wars, and that just kind of dropped off, and then the whole editions thing took off. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think it's just good to know that editions are kind of what's hot right now still, and we kind of all thought it would drop off, but it still hasn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think, we're all suffering with some of the
I mean,
same things when it comes to one of ones right now. So got some
yeah,
of the stuff on foundation.
my strategy is I'm not really trying to push the one of ones because there's just not a lot happening there. I put them out there, I try to share them, and nothing really happens. So I don't know if it might make sense to just wait, be patient. You could drop the prices a little bit, but I don't know that that's going to make a huge difference. But you know, it might make a difference if you've got existing customers who have bought your work before, and maybe they just feel like that those new ones are too high priced. Might even just want to ask, like, just say, hey, are you interested in this work? Because to me, like, this one right here, I think that's beautiful. I think it might even be better than this one.
Well, he priced it higher. Too.
Yeah. But this could be sellable to people who would buy this kind of work, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, cool.
Yep, I think that's good feedback on this one.
Yeah. Well, Mike, this has been fun.
Absolutely, man.
Hoping I can tune into the security session tomorrow. I might be out shooting waterfalls instead, but
Well, if you're
we'll
not
see.
shooting out waterfalls and you tune in, we'll definitely put you on the mic as well to
Okay.
drop
Okay. Good.
to drop in anything that you have about security. So it's me, Jassy, and Goon. So yeah, I'm having Jassy create some slides that he could send over to me that I could try to put into like
Cool.
a
That's awesome.
screen. And I
Well,
can
good.
create some awareness. All right, cool, man. Thank you for today and your time, and thanks everybody for being here. And yeah, I hope everybody has an awesome day. And thanks for the POAPs. And until next time. But yeah, tomorrow, guys, we have a security AMA at time. We'll post the time in the chat. I think it's a little earlier than an hour earlier than today. We'll post it soon.
Perfect.
Thank
You bet.
you. You got it. All right. Thank you. Bye bye, guys.